Hello, smart mathematicians. We are doing question 10a. Right, given sine A is equal to 6 over 10 and the angle is between 90 and 360 degrees, and then that cos 42 is equal to P. Without the use of a calculator, determine the values of cos negative A minus 42 degrees in terms of P. Right, before we solve this problem here, let's discuss this part. Okay, we're going to discuss this, and then we will discuss this part, and then we'll discuss this. Okay, and then after that we're going to do our solution. All right, let's start with cos negative A minus 42 here. What do you see here if you check this? What do you see? I can see compound angle. But if you check now, with this negative A minus 42, compound angle would be easier if it is what, maybe just A minus 42 or A plus 42. Right, how can we deal with that? We can factor out negative 1 here and use our knowledge about what? Negative angles. Okay, right. So now we want this expression to look maybe something like this. Okay, which one can we choose here? Maybe it can be something like this, or maybe something like this. You see that? Okay, that is compound angles. All right, so let's use our knowledge about negative angles to make this expression look like this. And then after that, we can use what? We can use our knowledge about what? About the compound angles. Right, let's start with negative angles. Remember that cos negative theta is equal to cos theta. Okay, negative angles, remember negative angles. And then let me just remind you about the other two. Sine negative theta is equal to negative sine theta. And then tan negative theta is equal to negative tan theta. You see that? Okay, so we are here now. So if we have cos negative A minus 42 degrees, and then we can factor out negative 1 here, and then have our cos. Let me just put in the square bracket to see that is inner bracket and outer bracket, and then A, we factored out negative 1, so it's going to be A plus 42 degrees. You see that? And then using our knowledge about negative angles here, this is just the same as cos. This is just like theta. The whole inner bracket there is just like our theta. So it's just cos A plus 42 degrees. You see that? And then now we can conclude and say this is equal to cos A, then cos 42 degrees plus, is it plus or minus? Okay, plus, oh yeah, no, it's plus, so it's going to be plus, so it's this one here, plus, and then so it's going to be minus sine A times cos 42 degrees. You see that? Now we have that now. So we've discussed this first part. Okay, let's move on to this one. Right, so we have sine A is equal to 6 over 10, and then the angle is between 90 and 360 degrees. What information do we get here? So it means sine A here is positive, so it means it can be in quadrant 1 or quadrant 2, but now it can't be in quadrant 1 because the angle should be between 90 and 360 degrees. So it means it's going to be in quadrant what? Quadrant 2. So you have to identify the quadrant before you do anything. Right, and remember this also, that your sine theta is equal to y over r, and then cos theta is equal to x over r, and then your tan theta is equal to y over x. Right, you can even use your SOHCAHTOA where we say opposite over hypotenuse, opposite side over hypotenuse, adjacent side over hypotenuse, opposite side over adjacent side. Okay, right, and remember that from the Pythagoras theorem, we have r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. Okay, just remember those four. And then what else? So we say that this our ray is going to be in the second quadrant. So draw the diagram, and then you draw the diagram. This is in the second quadrant. I prefer to have this butterfly diagram so that you don't make mistakes, because I've seen people drawing these diagrams and they draw them wrongly, right? So you find someone now, and then the ray is here, and then someone joins to the y-axis, which is very wrong. Okay, so just have this butterfly like this, and then your ray may be this, or this, or this, or this, nothing else. Okay, so we said now our ray is going to be in the second quadrant. Now let's draw our r. You see that? Okay, right, now what we have, this is sine A, so it means we have y and r. So we don't have x. We are going to calculate for x. So we have y and r. We don't have the x coordinate. So that is y there, x we don't have, and then our r. Remember, r is always positive. Okay, so it means here, even if you want to write by the side here, you prefer to use your opposite over adjacent, opposite over hypotenuse, you can write your 6 by the side here. That is your y. Okay, how do we get x then? How do we get x? So we use our Pythagoras theorem there. We say r is 10 squared is equal to x squared plus 6 squared. So meaning that that is Pythagoras. And then meaning that 10 squared minus 6 squared is equal to x squared. Square root both sides. 10 squared minus 6 squared is equal to x. And then what do you get? Plus or positive or negative 8 is equal to x. But now since is in the second quadrant, x is what? Is it positive or negative? In the second quadrant, x is negative. So it's going to be x is equal to negative 8. Now we have our x, our y, and our r. So we can have all the three trigonometric ratios, right? So we want, if we check there, we want cos A and sine A. So there's no need for us to write tan A. So we have cos A and sine A. So cos A is going to be negative 8 over 10. You see that the cosine of an angle in the second quadrant is negative. You see that? Okay. And then sine A is, we're given there is 6 over 10. Okay. We're done with this part. And then let's come to this one. Cos 42 is equal to P. Right. This one we can use our symbol. Symbol what? Right angle triangle. Right. So let's just do that. So we have cos 42 is equal to P, which is just the same as cos 42 degrees is equal to P over 1. And remember that cos 42 is going to be is x over r, or is the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So we draw our diagram like this, and then we put our angle. So the opposite side here, that's where you put your P, and then the hypotenuse is 1. Remember, cosine of an angle is what? Opposite side, adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So now we need to find our opposite side. Opposite side. Okay, what do we do to find the opposite side? So we use the Pythagoras theorem again. So we say is the hypotenuse 1 squared is equal to opposite side. Let me just use op. squared plus p squared. And then 1, which 1 squared is 1, minus p squared is equal to op squared. So this one is Pythagoras. That's the reason there. Remember to write your statement and reason every time. Then we square root both sides. So it's going to be 1 minus p squared is equal to the opposite side. So the opposite side there is what? 1 minus p squared. So what is sine 42? It's going to be square root of 1 minus p squared over 1, which is basically square root of 1 minus p squared. Then what is cos 42? It's going to be is p over 1, which is basically p. So we have our cos 42 there, which decrease, which is p, and then our sine 42 decrease, which is square root of 1 over square root of 1 minus p squared. So now we have everything we need to simplify or to determine this expression here. Okay, we have everything we need. Let's just do that. So we have our cos A or sine A, cos 42, sine 42. Okay, now let's simplify. All right, so we substitute into this. So it means here cos A plus 42 degrees is equal to, what is cos A? Negative 8 over 10, and then times cos 42, that is p, cos 42, that is p, times p, minus sine A, 6 over 10, 6 over 10, and then sine 42 is times square root of 1 minus p squared. Right, so it means here, this is just negative 8p over 10 minus 6 square root of 1 minus p squared over 10. The denominators are the same, so we can subtract the numerators there. So it's just negative 8p minus 6 square root of 1 minus p squared, all this over 10. So that's the answer there. Okay, done. But let's say you want to maybe simplify it. You can see there's a common factor there between the two terms in the numerator there. So we can factor out 2 there. You can factor out 2, and then you get your negative 4p minus 3 square root of 1 minus p squared, all this over 10. Then 2 into 2, 1, 2 into 10, 5. And then it simplifies to negative 4p minus 3 square root of 1 minus p squared, all this over 5. Okay, done. So we're going to meet when we do question 10b.